Hello, viewers. Welcome once again and welcome back from the commercial break. We are still here with Jacob, and the conversation has been exciting so far. We recommend that you do share with your friends, loved ones, share your comments, and also subscribe to our channel so that you don't have to miss a thing. We have been having a discussion with Jacob, and it's been exciting. But I'm curious to know that in all these projects that you have been leading and embarking on, how do you deal with the people side of the project management processes? I mean, in your stakeholder identification and engagement, how do you go about these? Can you share insights with us?
Yes, Frank. That is, I'll start by saying that when it comes to people management, if you have 10 sheep, you need only one stick. But if you have even one human being, you need 10 sticks because the person's traits may change at every point in time, but the same person, nothing has changed. So when it comes to stakeholder identification, I look at it from certain classification. One, I look at it from the business process point of view. I look at it from the technical point of view, and I look at it from the communication and awareness point of view. So first of all, I do what we call the quick, unofficial way to have a chat with them and see where their strengths lie and then their intent to contribute to the project. One thing that you may also have to notice is that the human brain is not something you can just come by. So if you have somebody who is not even skilled but have got a commitment to go the extra mile to learn and ensure that the project succeed, you then want to go with that person and challenge that person with that mentorship and the coaching to ensure that you're able to reach the common level of the project. So once we start with a survey, quick chat, all those things, you then be able to identify those who have the project at heart. Then you identify all those people. Then we come to the standard one where the stakeholders are predefined. Okay. Those are predefined, like the sponsor, the project manager, the business community, as well as the consultants, all the players that come together to ensure that the project is actually materialized. Those are the constant. But beyond that, you need the project implementation team that are going to be the ones to do the tactical work, and that is where the survey, the chart, and all those things come in to be able to identify those who have the project at heart, and they will not fail you as and when required. Then you talked about the engagements, a very complex area. So the engagements mean that with projects, like we do in our marriages, communications cannot break.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have, before the updates, every member in the room, in the boardroom, should know where we are and where we are supposed to go next. We carry along the reasoning behind why we are doing option A instead of option B. Constant communication, transparency, very agile, not waterfall model. Anywhere you're supposed to make a change based on the iteration testing, you fall back and make the necessary changes. And also have a place for open ideas where people bring their view feedback, not to hold against, let's say Frank said we should do it this way, and I'm the project manager, therefore Frank is giving this view. I want to exert my pressure on, no, it shouldn't be that way. When it's much more like a family, a project can thrive when the project team goes beyond a team and become a family. Then it can thrive. So that is how I intend to manage the team on the engagement aspects.
Okay, cool. So you are looking at a more collaborative environment instead of holding people and meetings up where there are meetings within meetings and there are people changing positions after the boardroom and all that. So you would want to look at a more collaborative platform where everybody is heard and everybody is carried along, right? Have you ever encountered a difficult stakeholder whose positions change, fluidly, rapidly? And how, if yes, how did you manage to engage such a stakeholder?
So those ones are very common. Now that we have this, as a consultant, you don't see those ones often, but in the industry you see it, where it's referred to as character assassination, and trying to let you know that whatever you're doing will not work. But what I say most often is that you look at the environments to define the methodology to use. The beauty is that since you are a certified project manager, you know all the framework that will give you the results.
Okay.
But the environments may not permit you to go by that rigid
True.
framework.
Yeah.
So what it means is that you may have to flip it to the local context.
Okay.
Once you flip it, it means that you get the flexibility to do it your own style, your own indigenous way, but you are not reducing the quality of work end of the day.
Okay.
So for example, if you have somebody who have the easy way of changing position, okay, what it means that that person is not responsible. So what you then have to do is that you make the person the lead of that particular unit within the project. And then everything that you want to agree, you let the person bring the initiative. Once the initiative is being submitted to you, you actually incubate the initiative and move with speed. And then actually use your experience or professionalism to drive it. So realize that I'm not leaving you behind. I'm not giving you the space to tell me that you didn't listen to me. I'm not giving you the chance to walk into another meeting that you tell me that, okay, fine, we should have done it this way. Once you throw it, it's your idea, and we have to refine it because it's not supposed to go that way. Because the benefit is that you as a project manager, not only from one discipline point of view, can see the end from the beginning, but however, you cannot run alone. You need a team to actually get your destination. And the best way is to bring everybody along, and most importantly, the one who is not on your plate keeps you on your toes. And that's the best person you need in the team. I love to work with people like that. They keep me on my toes. They make me learn. They give me sleepless nights. I always have to be like 100 miles ahead of them. And they are the best team members. I don't know, but for me, they are the best team members. No complacency comes in. You don't think you know, you've seen it all, because you may be caught by a surprise, and that helps you manage your risk within the team. And Frank, trust me, people like that are knowledgeable.
Yeah.
They just feel like it should have been them in the seats, okay? But it's not like they don't know what you're talking about. But there are different ways we can actually get to the same end result. I might not go your way, I'll get the same end result. I may also go your way and get the same end result. But how do we balance the two to get that innovative products? Because when we balance the two, we get something that has not been created before, and something that becomes unique to that particular organization or that particular project. So that is how I tend to manage the two. But in all these things, you try to keep it as truly as professional, because they don't have you at heart. Yeah.
Very, very, very interesting. Now, I see we have looked at the other side of the coin, where you have a stakeholder who is being a bit difficult or fluid with their positions, and with the insight that you provided, that seemed to be dwelling on team members. How about external stakeholders, especially key stakeholders, who may want to exhibit these same tendencies? How do you deal with them?
Okay, so for that, there are some multifaceted nuances in there. Sometimes it may not be the work you've done, okay? Sometimes it may be their own internal politics. That is actually, you have to take the fall for it. So what happens is that for every systematic, well-defined project comes to documentation. So it means that at every level of the project phase, you have to ensure that the documentations are actually on point. From the requirements gathering, from the initiation to the kickoff to the requirements gathering, what you said you want us to do. And then when you even told the client that this is going to be your future business process, this is how the model is going to be like, because I believe by then there have been a prototype, a demonstration, a CRP, a conference room pilot to test how the system is going to be, or we've actually have a UAT, a user acceptance testing, to sign off on everything, so that when we get to the bridge where you think you have a change of mind, two ways. I manage you nicely that, look, it's not an event, it's a process, a continuous effort. So why don't we, as we've agreed by starting, why don't we sail or land safely, and then look at the change requests coming in, then we can transition and have an addendum to that same project and refine it, because don't forget that you're working within time, scope, resources, and then even looking at people, and then actually return on investments. If it's not the case and you still want us to do it differently by changing it, You are the stakeholder. You call the shot. I am at your mercy. I'm selling my time. So what you tell me, agreed, as we've defined it, we'll do it for you and extend, and then let all parties know that there has been a change in scope.
Okay.
And based whether it's a major change or minor change, we'll come back with you with the work plan, how it's going to impact the current health of the project.
Okay, that is very interesting. In fact, you are getting us deeper into the conversation in terms of scope, and I would want us to spend a bit of time on that. Scoping is, let me say, said to be one of the most difficult aspects of project management, where stakeholders actually do not know exactly what they want. How do you manage to properly scope your project? And I would want you to also proceed to tell us how do you manage the scope in order to prevent scope creeping.
Great, Frank. This is an interesting aspect for my over 10 years within the landscape in Ghana and then outside the region. One thing that have been very predominant in the technology space where I have mastery in is that the stakeholder will tell you something in his mind. He knows what he wants.
Yes.
And when you even try to speak to him on the same language, he's also visualizing something that you're also not saying.
Great.
And that becomes on the blind side of you.
Great.
So the best aspect of scoping is that you tell me what you want. Okay, I get you. But for me to appreciate or confirm if what you are thinking in your head is the same as what I'm also thinking, is where we do the requirement definition. Okay, we do the requirement definition, and then quickly, before that, we start with what we call the proof of concepts, which is like what we call a small version, okay, of the bigger picture. Okay, a small version of the bigger picture. So once we do a concept definition to you based on what we've defined, and you see it's not the case, then we readjust before we can actually move into commercial. Because I find it challenging where you've not actually agreed on the scope of work, even align with the stakeholder to understand that whatever he's thinking in the mind or whatever she's thinking in the mind is at the same thing that you are thinking, and you're on the same page to create that synergy to then look into the next aspect of work. So that is where the work is. And it's sometimes it's resource constrained because very draining because everything is on you. Yeah, everything is on you as a consultant or the one trying to deliver a good service or product to the organization.
Now, during scoping, you have gone through your requirement elicitations and all that, and you are at a point where you are trying to understand exactly what is sitting in the mind of the client. You've gone through this proof of concept and all that. How do you baseline the scope so that everybody knows that this is what we have baselined, and how would that affect your change request regimes on projects?
So from one of the, I think I remember that was way back then. International projects I can mention. It was SNETS when we introduced what we call the Tier 2. Before Tier 1 everything was being lumped together, and you are not able to separate the Tier 1 and Tier 2. And as a young consultant who was supposed to develop a package to separate the two, I was not getting the collaboration from the stakeholder. So we decided to do this. You create it on the flip side where you have two models. One model is the actual model that you think you have understood the stakeholder. The second model is what you think that it is not what they are looking for. And then you push in the second model, you call for a bigger stakeholder meeting where all the big players are there, those who call the shots. You push that one and you put the paper again that, this is what we have said, this is what we have agreed. All this time I came to your office that I should go and do whatever I want to do based on my understanding and everything. Can you sign off so that we move to the next level? At that point, they will set up. No, I can't sign off. I've not seen it. So it means that then they are going to champion the meeting because now you're saying they should sign off.
Yeah.
In that meeting, you bring the version 1, which is supposed to be the ideal, because now whatever you showed now was not what you were looking for.
Okay.
So it's like, no. So now the person knows that I'm going to shoot this guy in the foot, that they don't know their job.
Okay.
But in that meeting, which is going to be the World Cup, okay, I call it the
your
World Cup. You
original
have the original
version.
version that you are bringing in, and that is like, but that is not what you showed me. Yeah, I know. But based on what you've done over the period, this is how we understood your business requirements. Can you confirm for me? So in that meeting, all parties would have agreed and accepted. Can we sign off?
Whoa.
So the next action from that meeting is that now that we are comfortable, let's sign off. And that's what we use to manage stakeholders who are having their own internal politics, gimmicks, and all those things. How to bring them to the table is very necessary. And this is how when they know it's not meeting the requirement, Frank, trust me, they will come. But again, you have the actual requirement that you know that is what they are looking for, and that is where you'll be able to get there, the big picture forward.
Wouldn't others say you are being disingenuous?
It's relative, okay? It's relative because, Frank, know that you also have a boss, okay? You also have the deliverables to ensure that whatever you are doing, you must do it with some sort of dignity, integrity, and then professionalism. You are only using another carbon copy of what you may think you want the person's attention.
Yeah.
So I'm only asking you that I'm showing you a copy, and you're saying, no, it's not correct.
Yeah.
You realize that you are not even calling for the meeting, but on the flip of human behavior, they will call for the meeting. Because the next thing is that, let me go, if it's not giving us a result, let's go to and terminate the contract.
Yeah.
And that is where their interest comes in. But on that point, it's not my crucifixion, but it's my resurrection in that next meeting.
I get to. So what it means is that usually when you show them and it is the right thing, they will not be interested in the details.
For it, yes.
But when they see the wrong thing, it will push them to want to see the details. Yes. Then you bring out the right one. Yeah. Well, that's a very interesting dimension. Now, having signed it off, everybody is busy working, and then we revisit the discussion we were having earlier. A major external stakeholder wants a change. Yeah. What happens next?
Absolutely. We are in for the money, so anything that you tell us to do, that they have to go to the addendum, okay, the change requests. There's a whole procedure for guidelines for change requests. Regardless of whatever sector you may find yourself, the framework is the same. We go to the change requirements, we actually understand the impact of the change request on the current model, okay? If there's no implication, then it means that we've also used that change request definition to become a new scope. Okay, defined for the new scope. Then we tell you that when we actually proceed with the change request, this is going to be the pros and cons of it, because not everything gives you 100% accuracy. In technology, we look at the degree of accuracy around 70 to 80% based on the industry. Okay. Frank, I can tell you that if anybody says that I'm giving you 100% proven technology, it's a lie.
Okay.
Yeah. So we don't have anything 100% insulated, proven to be accurate as clean. Okay. But you have a degree of acceptance. Okay. So when we do that and we agree that, okay, fine, there's a lesser evil than a greater good, okay, let's go in. Then we sign off, and then we look at the commercials and we reconstitute the PIT. We may not have to re-engineer everything again, because there was a bigger project that we've done. We may actually extract some people because this might not be as huge as the first one. Okay. And then very key people, we leverage on them, and then we drive it forward. Okay.
Okay, great. Did you what you have proposed or what you have discussed is something that has let me put it this way, a very good acceptance, let me say, regime. Now, what of a situation where the impact is going to be great in terms of schedule? What would be your proposition?
Impact being great on schedule. Okay, so there are one other flip side to the coin, okay, or another perspective where you look at it from the point whereby it's, can I say, over innovative, okay, whereby you know that you are actually getting speed of work, quality, but deficiency is not going to be sustainable. Okay, for me as a professional, we give our position. Okay, and we've seen stuff like that before. We give our position, and even we write to them that we want to discontinue from our side.
Okay.
And I've seen this from where I used to work. I don't want to put names there, but we've done that a couple of times.
Okay.
If we are telling you that this is how it's supposed to be, and still based on everybody has got an interest in the boardroom, okay? And remember that as I wear the hat of the consultants, I'm not part of the board decisions.
Okay.
So it's been given that get somebody to do it the way we want it. Somebody may want to do it, but somebody don't want to compromise. So you look at the market segmentation and then you take a drive. But where we have been actually been in there in the same vein, we've actually written officially that for this particular addendum to the project, we write to discontinue ourselves from that. We cannot deliver it.
Wow.
Unless we do it this way.
Wow, interesting. So that means you are on a negotiating table and you have gotten to a point where you want to walk away instead of pushing further to get what you want. Ostensibly because you think you have put in your all in terms of your technical and professional advice, and the stakeholder is not budging. So you walk away. How about looking at this on the other side, that you could prefer an advice or a solution that instead of wanting to add this part of it to the scope, why don't we complete the existing scope and then rescope what you are proposing as a different scope? Is it something that is usually feasible?
Okay, Frank, so if I get your question properly, I was looking at the first one from the point whereby we are looking at the quality of the outcome. Okay, where we have, let's say, in technology space, you'll be very much surprised that we don't only have computer science people, we don't have only hardcore programmers, we have accountants, we have supply chain professionals, okay, we have engineers who are also on board, and every discipline you can think of that we can actually send computing to. We need their professionals in there, people who have risen to the very epic of that particular field. They becomes the eyes to the developers to be able to frame it properly, to meet the quality standard and assurance of the various technology. So if you are looking at a project where we've actually crossed the first phase of it, closed it nicely, there was supposed to be a change, and now we've looked at a change which is going to be a specialized effect. If not, it would have been part of the first one. We bring you the various disciplines from different industries, and we are giving you the commercial. And from that commercial, you feel it's too expensive, you can do it, this is nothing, okay? And sometimes, to surprise you, the cost of the addendum can even be higher than the initial cost of the entire project. Why? Because you realize that whatever they intend to do is unthinkable but possible.
Okay.
It's unthinkable but possible. So you need specialized resources or specialists. And that is where Oracle and some other product lines have come with specialities. So when you hear specialization, specialists, and all those things, it's not for fun, it's for the mission critical projects. And any mission critical project as an addendum can even be way more expensive than the whole thing. So that is where it comes in. But when it comes to the example you just gave, where we are supposed to get a deal breaker on the table, okay? If not a mission critical project, we can agree on something. Either we budget in it, and then you look at reissue another invoice to cover up the old one, or if we all agree, we can transition and end nicely into realization, and then reopen the second aspect of it. But Frank, trust me, most often, projects that end, from my viewpoints, project that ends where there's an addendum, the other thing, now the client has gotten to understand how the system works, what is in it, and what they are looking for, which is really unthinkable, but possible.
Okay, that's very, very insightful. So 2 sides at the negotiating table, you discuss, look at the impact, and you can agree add an addendum and move on, or you propose that the change being requested be treated as a separate project whilst you go ahead to conclude the one you are doing. Thank you very much. At this point, we'll take a short commercial break once again. We'll get back to you. Stick and stay with us. Thank you.